with the violent attack on the U.S. Capitol that day. According to the lawsuit, the BBC's documentary spliced together parts of Trump's speech that were delivered nearly an hour apart to make it appear that he was directly urging supporters to march to the Capitol and fight like hell, a phrase that became infamous in the context of the January 6th events. The edits allegedly omitted segments in which Trump explicitly called for peaceful and patriotic protest, crucial context that his legal team says was deliberately omitted to misrepresent his words and actions. The complaint asserts that by stitching together these disparate moments, the BBC created a misleading narrative that he incited violence, a characterization he steadfastly rejects and has contested for years. Trump's lawyers characterize the edited portrayal as not just an error of journalism, but as a false, defamatory, deceptive, disparaging, inflammatory, and malicious depiction of the former president, framing the broadcasting decision as part of what they describe as a broader pattern of bias against him by mainstream media outlets. They argue that this depiction was timed to influence public opinion in the run-up to the 2024 U.S. presidential election, where Trump was once again a candidate. The lawsuit claims the BBC's actions violated Florida's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act, in addition to traditional defamation law seeking $5 billion in damages under each theory, which together could total $10 billion. The BBC has already publicly acknowledged that its editing gave a misleading impression, with BBC Chair Samir Shah apologizing for what he described as an error of judgment. That acknowledgement came amid intense scrutiny after an internal review and a leaked memo from a former external advisor to the BBC's editorial. Standards Committee raised concerns about the way the material had been handled. The editing controversy led to significant leadership shakeups at the broadcaster, including the resignation of Director General Tim Davie and the head of news, Deborah Turnus. However, while the BBC expressed regret over the misleading impression created by the edits and pledged not to rebroadcast the documentary or make it available on its platforms, it has firmly rejected the legal basis of Trump's defamation claim, insisting there is no basis for such a lawsuit and that it will defend itself in court. WVPE.org. Trump amplified his criticism of the BBC publicly, stating he was suing the broadcaster for putting words in my mouth, and insisting that the version of events presented in the documentary was fabricated. He maintained that while the BBC's apology acknowledged the improper editing, it did not amount to genuine remorse or meaningful assurances against future journalistic missteps. Trump's legal team also referenced internal BBC concerns that were raised before the documentary's dissemination, claiming that these were overlooked